Hi, this is Reese. The full episode this week is behind the paywall, but here is a short preview for you to enjoy and to tempt you with the beautiful content that is on Patreon. So it came from it was an old quasi-British accent, and it was called the Canadian Dainty, which is a great name.
What is this? The Canadian Dainty?
Canadian Dainty.
Okay. The Canadian Dainty. All right. Are you going to try to, so your voice, your accent is close to the Canadian Dainty is what you're saying.
And I'll tell you why, because it was a hybrid. It wasn't quite Canadian, and it was kind of sounded a bit British. And it was used in the 19th century and the early 20th century, and it kind of died out in the 60s.
Do you have examples of this to play?
I do. I will play an example to you.
Good.
And to me, it sounds like a British person who's lived in Canada for a long time and has warped their accent. And to you, I imagine it probably just sounds British. Right. But hang on, I'll play this is, and they used to use it on CBC. If you listen to the CBC radio in the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s, you only would have heard this accent talking to you. So I've got an example of CBC reporter Peter Stursberg talking about
Peter Stursberg. Can you say that a little bit more muffled and cram the vowels together?
Peter Stursberg.
I mean, all right. I guess I asked for that.
Do you want to slur his name? So there was a Dutch famine in the news after World War II, and he was reporting on it. And this is the Canadian Dainty.
This is Peter Stursberg reporting to the CBC from Holland. Now that the news blackout has been lifted, I can tell you the full story of the extraordinary conference which resulted in the agreement on feeding the starving Dutch. I was at this dramatic meeting. You know, it was the first full-dress meeting between the Allies and the Nazis in this war. As a matter of fact, Ned Nordness of the Associated Press and myself...
So there you go.
That's it? You're not going to keep going? I was interested. I wanted to hear the story.
Oh, no, I didn't record the whole news thing. You were supposed to be listening to his accent.
I was, but then he was talking about a meeting with the Nazis? The Nazis actually agreed to have a meeting with somebody? That's interesting.
Because the Dutch were starving to death.
Wow. So this was a Canadian accent? It just sounds like a British person came over and haven't lost their accent.
That's what I said. That's exactly what. But to me, it sounds like someone who's British who's been living in Canada too long. But this was his own accent in Canada.
As in people born in Canada and developed this accent.
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
If you want to enjoy us and support the show and enjoy the rest of the content we have on Patreon, go to patreon.com/Canadian Politics is Boring, where we have hours and hours and hours of episodes that you have never heard before and that you can go and enjoy. We also enjoy having fun with our patrons, share links, funny stuff that's going on that we don't necessarily put on our public feeds too. So we hope you will join us there and support the show. But if that's not for you, we'll still be back next week with a free episode.